This
Thank you.
conference will now be recorded.
All right.
Let's see, where are we? There's
Okay, ladies, we are ready to talk about using our sequin stitches. And I know some of you have been exposed to this previously. Hi, Leslie.
I do.
So if it's a repeat, just please bear with me for those who are not used to doing this, and I will do my best to be able to show you on my machine, but it's going to be difficult. So I think you can figure it out. We'll look at the little movie on the machine that shows the operation, and we'll go from there. So I hope that you all have your sample pieces ready, or at least you have something that you can sew on and that you have some sequins to play with.
Just the one.
Yes, that one, Bonnie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So our instructions, I'm going to start on the middle of page 1 where it says, let's get started with sequin stitches. You can, and let me focus on my screen here. Okay. It suggests that we, can everybody mute their mics, please? Unless you have a question. Thank you. If you select woven medium, and then you down in your sewing techniques, mine right next to the basic sewing techniques, it says dimensional stitches. If you select that, and then you move your screen up by touching that arrow, you can see a square that says sequin stitches. If you select that, then you will see a little tutorial down at the bottom of your screen. And the only stitches that appear in your stitch menu are the ones for the sequins. Now that's one way to get to the sequin stitches. The other way, if you are on the home screen, is just to stay in your basic sewing techniques and say start new and clear that message. Use the stitch selection menu and then go to menu, maybe L as in love, and select it. Your sequin stitches are going to start at number 48. Come on, come on, be that way. There. Starting at 48 through 70 are all sequin stitches. All right. Does that make sense? There's two ways to get to your sequin stitches. You can either have the machine isolate them for you, or you can pick them yourself. Is everybody able to do that? And depending on how you got to your sequin stitches, if you had the machine isolate them through the dimensional stitches, you would pick stitch number 16. If you are going straight from menu L, I would like you to pick stitch number, I lost it, 63. It looks like a little flower. Can you see that on my screen? And wherever you see that little cross in the center here, that is where your sequin is going to go. Now, I differ with the machine or with these instructions a little bit because they say use your foot control. I prefer to use my start stop button because then I know for sure that the machine stopped where it wanted to, not just where I jiggled my foot and maybe stopped it because I lifted my foot too high. So Bonnie asked this question earlier. We do not want the IDF engaged, no IDF, even though the machine may tell you to put it down. For this, we don't want it down because if the foot is going to go over our sequins, we don't want that IDF to mash our sequins or mess them up, okay? So we've turned that off. The other thing I would like you to do is to slow your machine down. And if you can see on my screen, this is where I run. It's the next to the last position on the speed of the machine because I'm using the start stop button and I don't want to go at warp speed. Okay. All right. So let's just, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the little movie. Come on. That about using the sequin stitches. Okay, you can see this on your own machines. They lifted up the IDF, they put on the open toe foot, they put fabric with stabilizer underneath it, under the needle, and it stops. They put the sequin in place and go again until the machine stops. The sequin is going to go right, not under the needle. It's going to be off, the needle will be off to the side, and I do so with needle down function engaged when I do my sequins. Okay, so let me set up here and I will bring, I have that stitch, I had that stitch brought up. Let's see, it says 16 here. So I brought up that stitch, and this is the strip that I had stitched out with that stitch and some sequins. Now there is a definite requirement as to the size of sequins. As you probably know, sequins come in many, many sizes, and these stitches are made for sequins that are what I kind of consider as normal sequins, but I've stitched out this row of different sizes of sequins. The two on the right side are a little bit small. These in that little box are the perfect size, and all of these sequin stitches are made for that size of sequin. You can use larger sequins, but what happens is that the machine sews into the sequin and it doesn't care. It'll go right through it. The sequins are not tough, but sometimes it doesn't look very good if you've sewn into the sequin. All right, so, you know, play with them and see what you can do. So the ones that I'm using for this demonstration today are going to be, wherever what I did with my sample pieces. There we go. Boy, you think you're organized and it doesn't happen. Okay, so now I have over here, and let's see if we can get focused on the machine. I have a piece of stabilizer, a tearaway stabilizer. I have some fabric with a line down the middle of it. And I'm going to turn on my laser. And I'm going to press my start stop button, and the machine will stitch until it is ready for the sequin. So here we go. And this particular one is going to move the fabric around like some of your dimensional stitches, other dimensional stitches. So you have to try to keep your laser light parallel to that line that you've drawn down the middle of your fabric. Okay, now, I don't know that you can see. Let's see. All right. My needle is off to the center, to the right of the center. So when, and the, let's see. Okay. This right here where the tip of my tweezers are, let me raise the foot and see if that helps. Okay, come on, camera. Talk to me. It has stitched straight down to the middle of the flower, and then it made a right turn and stitched over a couple stitches and is stopped over to the right hand side. All right, now I have to put the camera down because I need 3 hands to do this. So now I'm going to take a sequin and I'm going to place it so that the whole of the sequin is right at the stitch where that it made that right turn. Okay, it's right at that corner. Then I'm going to put my foot down. Of course, it's going to move my tweezers. And I need to do this left-handed because, okay, I'm going to put my foot down and then I'm going to hand wheel my needle into that center hole of the sequin. That makes sense? Because otherwise that little sequins are like tiddlywinks. They just pop all over. So if you can move the hand wheel, the needle down into the hole, that brings the thread over one edge of the sequin. Remember I talked about the cross that's in the middle of that? Well, that's the one leg of the cross. And then when you start the machine up again, it will stitch out that cross and then continue on for the next one. Just 1 second, when it stops, I'll pick that one up and show it to you. Okay, so now it's ready for the next one. But this, can you see that sequin right there where it has stitched a little cross over the sequin, and that's how it holds it in place. Heads are shaking no, yes. Okay.
So Judy,
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you show us again?
What, Therese?
Could you show us
Well,
again how
Sure.
you did the needle down when you put
Okay.
the
So,
sequin on?
okay, now
Thank
I
you.
have my sequin, right? The needle is down in the fabric, which you want it to be, so the fabric doesn't jump around. And then the whole of the sequin, I want to place right over that stitch. And when you stitch this out, you'll see that where it made that little right hand turn. And then I'm going to put my foot down and it'll just barely touch the edge of the sequin. And while I'm still holding the sequin, I'm going to hand wheel my needle down into the hole in the center. And then I'm going to make sure if if my fabric was not straight because I mushed it around, I would lift up my presser foot to that hover position and take the needle or the tweezers away from the camera, and straighten my fabric, and then put my foot back down and press my stop button for it to finish stitching the sequin. So I'd like you to try that, please. And if you are still unsure, please let me know, ask a question, ask me to explain and to show it again.
Judy,
Yes, Betty?
I have a question about the line down the middle of the fabric. Is that something you drew on there or stitched on there? And what's the point of that?
That's just to
The
keep
line?
me on the straight and narrow. That's a line I drew with a friction pen, and it will
Okay,
iron away.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure it wasn't something I needed to stitch. Okay,
No,
thanks.
sure. We want it to go away.
Judy, I don't have an open-toed foot. Is there another foot that I could use?
What machine are
I
you
don't
on?
think it came with the machine.
It doesn't come with the
The
machine
Epic
unless you
2.
bought the extra package. Are
Yeah,
you
I
on the
didn't.
Epic, Therese?
Yeah, yes,
Okay, if you
yes.
didn't get extra feet when you got your machine.
Right, I did not.
Do you have an open toe foot for your other machine?
No, not for my topaz.
You don't?
I don't think so. I gotta look.
They come in clear too, so not for the Epic
I have
yet,
a
but
clear one here. I have a clear one here, but it doesn't look, it doesn't look like the
it's not open
foot you're
toe.
using. Right.
The problem is that you can't really see as and get things underneath as easily, but you could try your what have you got? You can try your A foot or your
I'll try the A foot. I had the B foot in and I don't know if that was working right or not, but I'll try it.
okay, it's just
I'll
the
try.
little bar is gonna just kind of be in your way. When you go to put the sequin in, Grace, you
Yeah,
may have to
yeah.
leave your needle in the fabric, but raise your presser foot up to the highest position. So you can
Okay,
get
that
underneath the
makes
foot
sense.
with your
Thank
sequin.
you. Okay.
May I ask an elementary question?
Sure.
Is the button beside the automatic needle threader?
That's your start stop button.
And so what is the stop button over beside the fix?
That has to do with when you're stitching, well, you'll see it come on in embroidery. And it also, if you are doing decorative stitches, it can be useful that it will, if you turn it on, it will fit, and you'll see this in the end of the session today. If you want it to finish a complete pattern of a decorative stitch or even the sequin stitch, you can turn it on. It will finish the pattern that it's on and tie a knot, stop, and cut the threads.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll play with that in a bit, or we can do it now. If I were, okay, Bonnie, if I were going to finish this one. Okay, let me just stick a sequin on here so my flower doesn't look naked. And okay, let's see. Put my foot down, you little rascal. Put my needle in. Okay, now I'm going to turn on that stop button. Okay, Bonnie?
Okay.
And it has a light on it. See?
Uh-huh,
Tell
I
me
do.
that it's on.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to press my start stop button, which is by the needle threader. See what happens? It finished.
How does it know to stop? Mine just kept going.
Well, unless you have that stop button on, it won't stop.
Oh, I
See,
see.
now
Okay.
it did its thing and turned itself off.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. I'll practice with that because I did some monogramming on a little quilt and it just continued writing the name over and over. And I only wanted
Right.
the name once.
You will like that little stop button.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy, when we use our hand wheel, are we supposed to just go forward or does it matter?
I'm sorry, Lee.
When we use our hand wheel, are we supposed to just go one direction or does it matter?
You should go forward.
Okay,
Turn it toward you.
okay, thank you. I heard that in the serger class and I was like, huh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Judy,
Yes, Ellen.
sorry, we're doing work here. The sequin, is it over to the side when it stops?
Tell me that again.
The sequin, is it at the, it's not, my laser light's down the middle, but it stops to the right.
It stops to the right. And then you're going to snuggle the edge of the sequin up next to the needle.
Beside it or below it?
I don't know
Is
if
it
you can.
beside it?
Yeah, it's going to line the hole up with the needle.
To the side, not to the bottom.
Right, to the side. Correct.
Okay. All right. That's what I need to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's hard to see.
Judy,
Yes, Mary?
will you confirm that with the Epic, we can't modify these stitches to either go take a smaller step or a larger step like you could if you did it on the FOF, right?
Right.
Okay, thanks. That's what I thought.
The only thing you can do with these stitches is basically flip them side to side. If you look on your screen, you see that you don't even have a stitch width on it, and the stitch length is grayed out.
Yeah. And there's no stitch editor function at all like there is on the FOF, right?
No, there's not. That's a FOF proprietary thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thanks.
Sure.
Judy, my machine is echoing the flower.
Yes, there are 2 lines around the flower.
Oh, okay.
It's
Thank you.
supposed to do that, Bonnie.
Also,
See, I
Judy,
tried-
why do we need stabilizer?
Because this is considered a decorative stitch, and it's going to, some of them have some satin elements in them. So it's otherwise it's gonna bunch up your fabric.
Thank
So
you.
oh, you're welcome.
I tried a star, Judy, and if I just use my hand wheel, it worked.
Yeah, there are some sequins. There are a bazillion different shapes of sequins. I have about 3/4 of a bazillion.
I
But
have
if
about
your
5.
hole is in the right place, I mean, you can use them.
Yeah, it worked because I didn't have many sequins, so I thought I'd just try it.
Oh, well, I left some at the store and that you could ask them to mail to you.
Oh, that's okay. I was down there
Right.
and forgot about it. When I dropped off my Epic one, I should have just picked them up, but I forgot. So it's okay. I'll be.
They would have mailed them to you, hon.
Oh, that's all right. It's my fault.
No problem. Okay. How's it going?
I like it.
It's
And I'm
fun.
not a sequins person.
All right, Lee, that looks good. Miss Diane, you did good? No mic. Your mic's off, sweetie.
I got 6.
You got 6. Doggone, you're good. All right. Therese, how are you doing? Did it work?
I just have some machine malfunction on here. Not yet. I haven't. I keep.
Judy Evans, how are you doing? You can do a thumbs up or whatever. Your mic's off, hon.
It's off because I don't want you to have to hear all this construction. Jackie's redoing her bathroom. Okay.
Judy, mine's not moving anywhere, and I don't know what I've not got turned on or off.
Are you on free motion by any chance?
How do I know?
All right. This little button down here that looks like spaghetti, is that blue or is it
I
white?
don't even, that doesn't show up on mine. So I've got something set wrong. And I tried it the other way first, and then I tried it the first method so I could see the clip, movie clip. But I don't know.
Can you show me your screen?
Well, I'll try.
Okay. Okay, a little lower. Okay. So you were trying to, okay, so your stitch is on the screen, right?
Yes.
And all right, now what's happened? Show me what's happening. Can you show me what's happening when you try to sew?
Well, it makes little stitches, kind of. Let me take it out here.
Can I make a suggestion? When she showed her screen, her panel of her is still up. She has to close that to see where the free motion is.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mary. Yeah, I saw the thing up but didn't realize that it covered up that bottom toolbar. Okay, Judy. Did you hear what Mary said?
Well, I'm not. No,
She said
I
because
didn't.
you have that tutorial up, if you would minimize that
Yeah.
tutorial, then you could see your free motion thing.
Okay. Okay, I see that stuff at the bottom.
Okay, is that one little button blue or are they all white?
They're all white.
Okay, so that's not your problem. So can you show?
It's just both methods to get in there. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just going
Move
little
to your
tiny
right.
stitches.
Move to the thing to your right. There you go. What's it doing? That's crazy.
I must have something set wrong.
Okay. Can you just go back and do a regular stitch and see that it works okay? Just, from the A menu.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Is everyone else okay? Judy, do you mind if we go on?
No, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, so the next stitch that they ask us to do is stitch number 56. And there are basically two different kinds of stitches that the way that it hooks the sequins in. It either makes a cross like the one that we've just done, or and again, I'm going to be on the L menu. If you use one that they have suggested that we use for the next one, number 56, you will see that it looks like this. All right. And the sequin, the part that hooks on the sequin is just straight stitches. It's not a cross like this one. This one was a cross. All right. So you can look at the stitch as they come up on your screen and see how it's going to fasten the sequin down. The number 56 is just going to use a straight stitch. That lets us use things like this. Sequins that have a hole that's close enough that that stitch will go over and into that hole without damaging the sequin. Does that make sense? These kind of sequins work with that type of stitch. Again, it has just a straight up and down stitch that connects that holds the sequin on rather than the cross stitch. So you can do, you know, anything that has a hole close to the top. Well, kind of, I was goofing around with these hearts, and the hole is close to the top, but it's kind of tucked in because of the round top part of the heart. And I managed to mess up 2 of them until I realized that once, if I stopped after it's stitched the heart down and then I moved it so it didn't stitch over the top like it did here, I was okay. So sometimes you just have to kind of to mess with it, but it's nice that we can use, you know, those other kinds of sequins and to stitch them on. In fact, I have found like this one would work with that stitch because there's a hole close, very close to the tip of that star. So it would stitch it on. However, it's way too big. You'd have to skip every other one or something in order to put several of these down using that stitch. There is another, the very last stitch in this menu is made so that it will just sew one sequin down at a time. And to do those big ones, you could use that one and then just, you know, go someplace else where you wanted another one and tack it down. So you can also
Do
use,
anything heavier than a sequence?
I'm sorry, Les?
Do anything heavier than a sequin, like a little tiny button, or no?
I would be reluctant to do anything that was much heavier or thicker,
Okay.
okay? Because even with sequins, I managed to break a needle yesterday playing, so.
Judy,
But-
how do I get to stitch 56? My screen only goes like to 21.
Okay, that's because you came in from the, let's see, I think, well, stitch 66, you want stitch 19.
Okay, thank you.
That's the one, let me find it that way. No, come back here, you rascal.
Oh, it looks like it.
18, 19, no, I want you to use 9, stitch number 9, please.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm really enjoying this, by the way.
Oh, good. It's fun. I mean, really, really fun.
Uh-huh.
And you can use regular sequins with this same kind of stitch. It's just that it gives you the ability to use other sequins with it. Okay, you're not limited to using these different kind of sequins. You can use your regular sequins for that same kind of stitch. Okay, but it's the same process regardless of what kind of a sequin that you have. It's going to start and stitch a little bit and then stop, and again it stops with the needle to the right of the stitch that holds the sequin, and you're just going to put, whoops, my tiddlywink here, over that stitch, and you should be able to see the end of the stitch through the hole in the sequin, and my tweezers are in the way of the foot. Okay, if I put the foot down and hand wheel this thing, and then it just stitches back and forth that one direction. It doesn't make the cross. All right. And if you have, oh, fun, sequins all over. This one's big enough I can do it with my hand, I think. Okay. Again, I'm going to put the foot down and hand wheel it and then hit start. And then now I have a regular sequin and then one of those big ones sewn down using that same stitch. And that's something you could do if you had big ones, maybe not as big as these stars, but if you had big ones, you could put a big one and a smaller one and a big one and a smaller one on that same stitch.
So Judy, do I have to put the presser foot down manually every time that I slide the sequin under the needle?
I do.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Because I want the presser foot to kind of hold my sequin down.
Judy, I have to remember to keep my foot off my foot pedal.
Unplug your foot pedal. That'll keep you from using it.
Good idea.
I gotta sew one of these on there.
No wine drinking when you're doing this, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Not a good idea. Once you've done a few of them, it's a little more comfortable, but Oops, I can't even do 2. Okay. How goes it? Okay.
So did all your fancy ones, your leaves and your stars, did they come in that giant thing you got from Amazon, or are those different?
Okay.
They came in there? The leaves,
Yeah. Huh?
the leaves are gorgeous. I love those.
Which ones are gorgeous?
The leaves.
Oh, the leaves? Yeah, there's a ton of leaves in here. There's butterflies. There's everything. But at one time, Walmart sold a package of them that had all sorts of shapes. And I mean, it's like they went to the Sequin factory. Good trees. That looks great. Like they went to the Sequin factory and swept up the floor and put them in a package. So, you know, a
I
lot
did
of
that with a 8-foot.
you worked great.
Yeah, worked with the 8-foot. I'm like shocked. I just have to bring the presser foot all the way up.
Right, so you can see where to put your sequin. Well,
Yeah,
good.
it's perfect. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's just so exciting.
Here,
Oh, Bonnie,
Bonnie.
look at yours.
That's great. Okay, Di, let's see it.
You
Okay.
see it?
Oh, look at her stars. How
Wow.
cool.
Look at this. Nice.
How cool. What you got, Miss Meg? Oh, butterflies and leaves. I see. Did you get those from the store? Where is that mic button?
Yes, I don't know where I got them from.
Okay.
I just have
Great.
a whole bunch of different shapes. I have a whole little tub full of different shapes.
Wonderful. Cool. Betty, how's yours?
I did one with the wrong stitch, and you can see how that went. It went right through the leaf pattern. Whoops.
Okay,
Throw
that's
that.
okay.
But then
It
once
does-
I chose the number 9 that you said, then that worked really pretty good.
All right. Well, if you look at the menu, you will see that there are quite a few of them. Whoopsie. Come on. Play
Yeah,
nice. There
you
are
just have to
quite a
get
few of them
oriented
that
which side to put the sequin, and I screwed up the first time, but I learned.
yeah, it takes practice. There are, and let's see, like this one, and again, let's see, if you're in just the sequin menu, this one is stitch number 2. If you're in the L menu, it's stitch number 48, where you can, it just doesn't show up when I'm against the screen. Okay. It looks like a little flower, and I've used 3 different kinds of sequins on it. It's these are the regular cupped sequins. These 4 are flat. Sometimes you can find flat sequins, and then the last 4 are little flower-shaped sequins. So those work pretty well.
Yeah.
So you can find all sorts of them. But if you want the ones that don't make the crosses, if you just look at your screen, you can pretty well tell that numbers, again, this is on the sequin stitches only, number 6, number 9, let's see, number 14, and number 19 and 20 are the ones that are like the one you just stitched out. All the rest of them use crosses for tacking down the sequin. Okay, so question? Okay. So you can play with those. Let's see if I did. Oh, these are, whoopsie, don't do that. These are some other stitches. This is the first one, which is a number 49 in the L menu. And then there's these, that's a little heart that a little sequin goes with a cross inside the heart. And that's number 8 in the sequin stitches are 55 in the L menu. There's another heart. This one goes sideways, but the one right in front of it, which would be 54 in the L menu or 7 in the sequin stitches, it goes up and down. So if you've got something vertical, you have a stitch with hearts that would work for that. And I learned something in reading this, and I had to read it 6 or 7 times before I figured out what they were really saying, is that on your screen, you have these buttons over here for mirroring side to side and up and down. Let me get a stitch that you can actually see. But if you touch your screen, you get flyouts for your mirrors. So I can just touch it and slide up and it'll mirror it. I don't have to touch the button, which seems a little bit redundant since you have the buttons right there, but it's fun to play with.
What are you pressing up out of the screen?
I'm touching my stitch and holding it, and then those 2 little symbols fly out, but you have to just, don't take your finger off the screen. You have to just slide it up to whichever symbol you want. Okay. I should do it down here so you can see it. See how those two little symbols pop up?
Yes,
And then
yes.
I can just slide up to the one I want. And it's as if I had touched the button.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's neat. Thank you.
I didn't know you could do that in sewing, Jude.
I didn't either.
But there
Live
you
and
go,
learn.
learning something new again.
Yeah. All the time, which is good. I mean,
Yeah.
keep our brains from going to rot.
Too late.
Too late? Okay, now there is, like I said, the very last stitch. And why doesn't it show up here? It's number 22 in the stitch menu, I mean in the sequence stitches, but it's number 70 in the L menu. And it is, if you look at it on the screen, it is a single cross. All right. And it will stitch one stitch. I mean, it will tack down one sequin. So if I start up and sew, I need to have my sequin in place to start with, because all it's going to sew is that cross. And that's exactly, whoops, I'm sorry. That's exactly what it did for me. Let me do that again to show you. And it is intended that you, once you've done that, that you, come on, up. You move on to the next place that you want to put one in. And all it does is sew the cross to do the sequin. And you will notice that when you do that, your stop button is on, so it only sews one repeat. If I take my stop button off, it's still on my screen, only shows one repeat. But the stop button causes it to do the fix stitch at the end of it. Okay? So if I want to fish, come on, up, upsy daisy. Okay, I want to move on, and I put my sequin down, and just to be safe, I'm going to put my needle down to hold my sequin in place and put my foot down and then press my start stop button. And then I can move on to the next place where I want a sequin. And I can put another sequin down. And this might seem kind of crazy, but okay, the needle is over there. Okay. At one time, I used this single sequin thing to, I'm going to make a mess here, decorate a skirt. I bought this skirt that had these, see that black line that looks kind of like a branch here? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of randomly overstitched that branch, but would stop every so often and put a sequin on with that single sequin stitch. But I didn't do every one on the skirt. I did them kind of randomly, and I don't know if you can see how. And this I did ages ago when the first Epic came out, and it hung in the shop for ages.
That's
But it was
good.
kind of fun to do because the stitching in between the sequins is just straight stitching to follow the line of what was printed on the skirt. So that's one use of that single sequin stitch. All right. So do you feel a little more comfortable with your sequin stitches?
Mhm.
And how to do them and why you do them?
I'm good.
Okay, Di. I mean, you can start now to decorate your Christmas projects for this year. If I started now, I might get them done.
Why do that when you can wait till December to be in panic mode?
Well, there is some amount of entertainment in that. And that's probably the usual thing that most of us do. There are a few people who just can't be bothered with that. But and sequins really like static electricity, if you haven't noticed. Yes. And I did find I have a lot of these little containers that you can buy at Hobby Lobby or Joann's or Michael's. They're for beads, but they're really handy for sequins because you can buy a whole box, and you can buy a box that's full of those little containers. And that's, if you sort your sequins out, that it's real handy to have them kind of sorted out for you. Or you can use the little plastic bags, those work too. But that's a good watching TV project. If you buy a mixed bag of them, you can entertain yourself while the TV isn't entertaining you. All right. Everybody okay with their sequins and comfortable with them? Okay. And I have no idea where I am in the program here, but I think we've pretty much covered all of the sequin stuff. And now, are there any lingering questions about the sequins or something you're unsure about for the sequins? All right. Then the next, they had so
No,
many fun
You did a
things.
great job.
Thank you. They put so many fun things in this machine. I'm going to go back to the regular menus. Okay. If we go to the, come on, oopie, there we go. If we go back to regular menus with our stitch button down here, and we slide back to the M menu, M as in mother or Mary or magnanimous or whatever, we get to what is called the theme stitches. And they look a little bit different on the screen since they are in groups of 4 stitches. So if you touch one of them, you get all 4. And the way, when you bring that up, when you touch it, you're gonna see the first one in that series on your screen. You also will notice that there is a symbol over here for the reverse button, but there's an actual active reverse button down here at the bottom. So when you're doing seam stitches, you have actually 3 reverse buttons. You have this one over here, you have the one here on the head of the machine, and you have the one on the left, this big bar here. Unfortunately, you can't see the symbols on the buttons here, but you have those 3 reverse buttons at your disposal. And the reason that you need reverse buttons with these seam stitches is that, okay, I selected the first one. Now, if I touch my reverse button, it switches to the second one. I touch my reverse button, it goes to the third one. And I touch it again and it goes to the fourth one. So now I'm at the end of them, but if I touch reverse again, I start all over. I'm at the first one. So the theory is that you can start stitching these out. Like I stitched, I'm sorry about the jostling around here. I stitched the first set. I stitched let it stitch the first house first, and while it was stitching the second house, I touched my reverse button. It finished the second house and went to the fence. And each one of those little pickets is 1. So it stitched 1, 2. While it was stitching the third repeat, I touched my reverse button again and it went to the tree. It stitched 1. While it was stitching the second one, I touched my reverse button and it went to the big house. And I let it stitch 2 times. While it was stitching the third one, I touched my stop button, Bonnie, and it finished that one and then stopped. If I'd have just touched my reverse button, then I would have gone back and touched and started stitching the small house again. Does that make sense? Okay. And I have these separated by series just because these are what I'm going to call items, and then these are just little designs. Number 2, 5, and 6 are just little designs rather than being things like these, the houses, the car, the tractor, the truck, the lady with the blowing hair in the convertible. And number 4, which has a sailboat, a surfer, a swimmer with a shark, and then a cruise ship. So you can, and they only stitch out in one size. There is no size or stitch length on your machine here on the screen. So the size that they stitch out is what you get. But they're kind of fun. They would be, a lot of fun for decoration on kids' clothes. If you look at the project that's with this chapter in the workbook, the lady uses them as various decorations on a pillow. So they're fun to stitch out. So let me find my piece of fabric that I was going to stitch them on. Let's see. This will do. And just for fun, I want to change thread. I'm tired of gray thread. Let's have some green thread. Valentine's Day is past. St. Patty's Day is coming up. We'll use green. Okay, excuse me. Now this one does tell you a foot to use. It tells you to use your S foot, your big wide foot, because it's going to really move your fabric around side to side, sometimes backwards and forwards. So it wants you to use your S foot. And again, we want stabilizer under our fabric.
Mine says B.
Yours says what?
B. The
B.
foot.
Which,
Like the
okay,
ball.
which series it depends on which series you select, Mary.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you select like the 2, 5, and 6, you'll get the B foot. But if you select one of the 1, 3, or 4, because it's moving the fabric a whole lot around, you're going to get the S foot. So I'm sure it doesn't matter if you use the S foot for all of them. But I'm going to start with the first series, the house, the fence, the tree, and the house. And I'm going to sew again with my start stop button. And because I don't have to think real hard when I do that, I just have to count and watch. Now, when you look on the screen, I have a red line down what I think would be the middle of my stitch line. But when I look to where the dot is on my screen here, it's at the bottom, the base of the house. So I really don't want to put, if I want to center my design, I don't want to put that red line at the base unless I've thought ahead and said, okay, this is where I want the base of that stitch. So, excuse me, what I'm going to do is just move my laser over and so that the base of my, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to move my laser to the right. Why are you at 0?
How do you move your laser, Judy?
Is your laser on, Bonnie?
Yes, it is.
Okay, there should be a little screen that came up on the bottom of your screen here. It says laser guidance. If you have a tutorial up, you can't see it.
Oh. How do I get rid of my tutorial?
Okay, let me bring mine up. Okay. Oopsie. Hang on. Okay, does it look like this now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the far right at the top,
Yes.
press that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the top button on your laser guidance window is your position. The bottom button is your intensity.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
I don't see that on
Wonderful.
mine, Judy. Can you tell me where that is?
That's
Again?
great. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Les. The
I don't-
button.
Yeah, the button. I'm on the theme page.
You're on the theme page.
Yeah,
You want your laser on?
I have it on, but I don't know how to move it.
Okay. You should have this little. Do you have a tutorial up or not?
No,
You have to minimize your tutorial.
I don't have it up.
Okay, so then if your laser is on, then you should have this little window right here that says laser guidance at the bottom of your stitch menu.
No, it's not on. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
your top button will move your laser for you.
Okay.
All righty. Right or left, whichever way.
Got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
you are most welcome. So now I'm going to, I turned my laser on and I moved it over to the right, and I'm going to use it, keep my laser line lined up, or use it as a guide against the inside of the toe of my foot, okay? Right here, rather than lining it up with the line I drew. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to start making the little house. And you can see why they want us to use the S foot. So now, as it's sewing the second one, I press my reverse button, and on the screen, I now see the fence. And it's sewing the fence for me. That's 2. That's 3. Now on number 4, I'm going to push the reverse button again, and I see the tree on my screen while it finishes my 4th fence picket. So I'm going to sew, just 2 trees. So the tree takes a little bit longer. On my second tree, so I press my reverse button. On my screen, I see the big house. And now it's stitching the big house. And I press my stop button while it's stitching the second one. And it stops for me. And now I have my little village. And the 2 of the small house, and the fence, 2 of the tree, and 2 of the large house. Now,
Are you using your foot pedal to do those?
no, ma'am, I'm sewing with my start stop button.
And why?
It's right now it's easier for me with all the contraptions I have here. You could use
Okay.
your foot pedal.
Okay, thank you.
It's your choice, okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, if I wanted to do one of the other ones, I can do the same thing. Or let's do, I'm going to go to number 3. And what I just want to stitch out the 2 different cars. So the one car is the first one. So as I'm stitching out, excuse me, okay, I'm going to stitch out one car. Actually, I'm going to stitch it out twice. So it's stitching the first one. Okay, now it's stitching the second one. And I touch the reverse and I see tractor. I don't want tractor. I see truck. I don't want truck. I touch reverse again. Now I see the second car that I want. So I've skipped over the tractor and the big truck just by pressing the reverse button to bypass them until I got to the one that I wanted, making sure that I was quick enough to do that while it was still stitching out that first car. So now I only have the 2 different kinds of cars, because while I was stitching out this one, I pressed the reverse button twice First time I pressed it, I saw the tractor on the screen. The second time I pressed it on, actually 3 times. Second time I pressed it, I saw the truck. And then when I pressed it again, I could see the convertible. So you can skip them. If you wanted to start with, say, the tractor, then when you brought up that series, you would immediately press the reverse button and it would skip over that first car and just start with the tractor. Does that make sense? So you can, you know, stitch them out however you want. You cannot do anything to these. You can't mirror them. You can't, other than stitch them out the size they are. What you see is what you get on these, because it would probably be too complicated for the machine, the programming of the machine, to be able to handle all that at once. Or at least they didn't have time to deal with that when they were building the machine. Maybe an update someday, who knows? All right, so stitch something out. You know, if you want just the little designs, then you're going to use either 2, 5, or 6. But if you want the little things like the little, I call it a village, the tree, the house, the vehicles, or the boats and swimmers, then you can use 1, 3, or 4. Any questions on that? A lot of stitches that you can bring into embroidery on your machines, these I believe you cannot, because they are so specialized with how it works with the reverse button. So you can't get them into embroidery to stitch them out there. So how'd you do? Oh, cute, Trees. Aren't those fun?
They are amazing. I could just see putting this on like Will's clothes, the sequins. She'll go nuts over it.
Unfortunately, sequins don't survive laundering stuff very well.
Yes.
I mean, you can get some that are, but you have to be, just the ordinary ones are pretty fragile.
Well, what she'll do is she'll wear the shirt once and she'll get it so dirty that she can't wear it to school again, you know? So it's like, okay, once and done.
Oh, no.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
she's thrilled to have sequins
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah. She's one of those on the floor girls, I'll tell you.
How old is she?
She just turned to 8. And she's tall and lanky and arms and all legs. So she's something else.
And never sits still.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
Okay. Bonnie, did you get something stitched out? Okay. How about you, Judy? Did you get your problems fixed?
Just now.
Just
It
now.
was, when I changed the throat plate,
Oh.
it must have caught the that control that raises up your cover a little bit, and it wouldn't stitch anything but just a little bit side to side on anything except a straight stitch. So anyway, I think it's okay. I'll go through all this, I guess,
Can I
on
answer
my own.
for you?
What?
Can I answer any questions for you now?
No, but is this recorded?
Yes, it's being recorded.
It'll take it takes a little while for it to be available for me to upload, but Judy, we've had somebody else do that where they put the plate on and the plate just was not snapped down a hair. And exactly what happened, I forgot about it until you just mentioned the plate. But we had somebody bring a machine back. I'm like, what the heck? And it was that. It wasn't, it got cockeyed when it got snapped down.
Yeah, yeah,
Thought it
that's
got
what
same
happens.
old.
Luckily, I've done all these on my Epic 1 before, but I will redo them.
Okay. There is a project associated with this that uses both the sequin stitches and some of the theme stitches. She made a pillow with it. She put some strips of fabric on at various angles. She sewed sequins.
Talking to me now?
It's called the Glitz pillow. And I can see that you can, you could take ribbon and sew your sequins on. Just be sure that you, especially on ribbon, do use your stabilizer behind it. And she used some embroidery designs and then use the single sequin stitch. That's not easy to say. To put sequins in the center of the flowers that had been embroidered. So that's kind of a good idea. And just, it's kind of a free form decorated pillow, which if that's suits your decor or somebody you know would like that as a gift, that's a good thing. I wanted to show you on the machine back on the Joy of Sewing screen that we have in the Knowledge Center here. If you touch on that and we go to Sewing Instructions and then to Fashion Accessories, there is a project in there called about keychain with sequin stitches. That's a little project that makes a wrist strap keychain and uses some sequin stitches. Of course, you wouldn't be obligated to use the same stitches that they did to make theirs, but in addition to making, they did it on a piece of webbing strap.
But I think you could do it on like grosgrain ribbon or something and make a bracelet for your little granddaughter, Therese, maybe with some sequins on it.
Oh, yeah, but how did you get to that? You went to the Knowledge Center, then you went to where?
Well,
Oh,
let's
sewing advice.
step through it again, okay? I was in sewing. So I go
Okay.
to the Knowledge Center,
Okay.
okay? And you see cushions, fashion accessories, and bags. I touched fashion accessories and it brought up 4 items.
Oh, I didn't see anything. Did you go to sewing instructions then?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go to sewing instructions.
Oh, then you went to fashion accessories?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Okay. And when you bring that up,
Yeah. Oh my God.
it gives you, it
Buy
shows you
something
a little,
new.
a description. Now, this is like all the tutorials on that very first panel there. There's a little X in the corner of that picture. If you touch that X, it blows the picture up so you can see it. And then there's another X that you can close that picture.
How do you get to fashion?
Accessories.
Yes.
Okay, where are you, Bonnie?
I just pushed sewing.
You push sewing instructions, and then down below that, you see fashion accessories, cushions, and bags.
No, I see select fabric and select techniques.
Okay,
Did you
needs to
touch
go
Knowledge
to,
Center?
sewing instructions.
Oh, knowledge
If
center.
she goes Knowledge Center
Yes.
and
Okay.
sewing
Did you touch
instructions,
sewing instructions?
Yes, now I'm there. Thank you.
Okay,
and
she found it. Okay, and then the second panel, which you
fashion
can either
accessories.
drag up or you can use your arrow at the bottom to highlight, gives you a list of materials that you're going to need for your project. And again, it has a picture that you can expand. And it shows some different feet in a little shopping cart, which doesn't do anything right this minute. It tells you how to prepare your fabric. Come on, go down. And how to select your fabric. When you are using these, if they have a particular stitch that they suggest you use, they will give you a picture of it. And if you touch that, then that stitch, come on, get into sewing. That stitch is loaded on your machine for you. When you touch the picture of that stitch, it loads it on your machine and puts any other stitches that they're using in the project. So it isolates those stitches for that project for you.
Oh my God, it's thinking for you.
And then the next panel has our little movie camera. So it has a movie, and it's again about the sequin stitches, because that's the focus of this project, is to use some sequin stitches and how to use them. And then they tell you step by step how to do your project. So that's another little project that you could do using your newfound skills with sequin. Any questions, comments, suggestions?
I think we should have these lessons every week.
You want to teach some of them, Therese?
No, I want you to teach them.
Okay.
I love
For
how you teach.
fun,
Well, we almost do, because we have technique once, and then we have this once, so every other week.
Yeah, that's
Kinda.
true. That's true.
Okay, so next month, the workbook is on manipulating embroidery stitches, and we did the project from next month
Oh, cool.
a while back.
Ooh.
It's how you taking several embroidery stitches and putting them together and then stitching them out as one thing. And we did it. The lesson is from the Epic, but this particular one is from the Epic. And we also did it on the FOF, and this is the one I did from the FOF.
Do we use the embroidery hoop for this, Judy?
Yes, next month we will be using the embroidery part of the machine. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Bonnie,
Okay.
you can do it. It's so easy. It is so easy, Bonnie.
Yeah, we're going to step by step through it, so you'll be fine. You can
Put
ask
it
as
on the
many
top.
questions as you want. We'll repeat as much as you need.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. You're all so supportive and helpful.
Well, that's why we're here.
Thank
We've
you.
all been there. So what's the technique
all
class
been
going to be?
Exactly, Therese.
Yeah. So what's the technique class going to be this month? Next month, March?
What, Therese?
It's actually Lee, but what's the technique class going to be in March?
I just happen to know.
I thought you might.
I just have to drop my camera. Sorry.
They really do go together. How
Okay,
cute.
this is, I'm going to stand him up. So
Oh, how cute.
Cute.
this is the project for March. It's a chenille bunny, and you get the front side of the bunny and the back side of the bunny.
Don't you
And-
think she's outdone herself this time?
Absolutely.
You've outdone yourself.
She totally has. That stuff
And-
has so many bunnies in it.
You know, and we may never let you work back in the shop because you've got more time to play when we're not bugging you at the store.
Anyhow, all we're going to do in class is to stitch out the bunny and learn how to, deal with the chenille technique. What you do with it is up to you. I mean, if you want to make a pillow with a bunny front on one side and a bunny back on the other side, that's fine. You can make a tote bag with, back and front on two different sides. You can just use the front and put it on the back of a jacket. It's up to you what you do with it. All right?
That Judy,
I'm sorry?
what class is that?
That's the technique classes for March.
Okay, that's cute.
The first week in March, and that can give you plenty time to get it done for Easter.
Thank you, Judy. I've got to run.
Okay, Judy. Well, thank you for being here, and
Enjoyed it.
you can remind us if somebody else has that problem that you had today.
Well,
How to fix it.
And one way I could really tell was the feed dogs weren't up. So that's what called my attention to it.
All right. Good catch.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Right.
And just a reminder that tomorrow Karen Charles is doing the, she's going to spend an hour and a half on the ribbon attachment. So it's not too late if you sign up. I'll send you the link.
What kind of ribbon do we need, Carol?
Well, this time it'll be more like she's just doing demos and talking about it.
Oh, okay.
So you really won't probably have time to do what she's doing. She'll just be showing you.
I'll probably be in shop tomorrow.
All right.
Carol,
Judy, can I do the project for the Epic next month? Because you said it was an Epic one, right?
I'm sorry, Les.